had a bit of a yapping session tonight, and I thought, well, might as well keep the yap going and do a video here. So, I the thing about doing all these videos is that it seems nearly impossible that my thoughts, opinions, stances on things are going to change over time. Today, I was yapping about a variety of topics, and one of those topics was it seems very appealing to me to be able to create great wealth and maintain anonymity at the same time, which is ironic doing these videos. I mean, my as of now my name is not attached to the video, but theoretically with any nominal success, friends, family, associates can put two and two together. So I just don't know how, even though I rationally have come to understand that personal branding on video is a strong way to jumpstart a project, an initiative, a business. I continue to go back to business, for example. Businesses have existed before the internet, definitely before social media, and definitely before the internet. So I imagine there was some sort of pure business fundamentals that have always worked and will continue to work. And I'm thinking, how do I balance the modern video first, personal branding first, founder led brands, for example? How do I balance that with the desire to create great wealth through a business, for example, and also maintain that degree of anonymity? That's a word that, for whatever reason, I struggle to say. Anonymity. So, I'm getting a kick out of how much I was yapping earlier, and now the camera's on. It's almost like I'm out of yaps. Much lower energy now than I was before. I was just going through a variety of topics, having a discussion, and one of them was the creating wealth through. I'm sure there's a number of ways to create wealth. You can work for someone and make a lot that way. However, I do wonder if it's only certain industries. Like I think of like a sales role that is a lot of commissions. If you do really well, theoretically your earning potential is uncapped or nearly uncapped. I don't know what other way there is to create great wealth without being a business owner. I guess theoretically through real estate it can be done. At a certain point, though, your real estate assets, I imagine you would turn into a business, so it sort of leads into business ownership anyway, I imagine. But I don't know, or it's not clear to me, what other ways there are to create, I keep saying create great wealth, create massive wealth without being a business owner. And maybe the wording has to change around it, because business owner, it's part of my yapping earlier around a variety of topics, and I'm only hitting on one of them up to this point in this video, is I was saying, I don't want to get into semantics, but it might be helpful to get into semantics. So when I keep saying business owner, I think now I'm saying it in the sense of someone who has ownership stake in a business. Whereas when I was younger, I would call a business owner the person who operates the business. In that case, self-employed. So a business owner, I would kind of associate that with a self-employed business owner. But theoretically, you can have an owner of a business that's not involved in the operations of that business. Going back to the point I made at the very beginning of this video, in order to maintain a level of anonymity and to create great wealth at the same time, I imagine it comes down to having a substantial ownership stake in a business that sells a service that operates without you, but to build it out more, not just sells a service that operates without you, but fulfills that service without you operating that fulfillment of the service. It brings in marketing leads without you operating that marketing engine or automation or funnel, and then also sells the product without you operating that part of the business. So I really with these videos, there was the 18 minutes minimum to do the video. I read a different article or some form of media that came up with like 16 minutes 25 seconds. Probably gonna stick with 18 minutes for now. To theoretically do this, perfect world, do this once a day. I remember coming across a tip or a trick that when you're trying to build a new habit, theoretically you do it every day. But when it comes down to building a system around something, i.e. developing the habit in this case, it doesn't always make sense to say, hey, just do it every day, because there could be uncontrollables that prevent you from doing that. The better approach that's been communicated to me is that instead of aiming for doing, in this case, a video once a day, it's more about making sure you don't ever skip 2 days. So over the course of a 30-day month, I think the math would work out where you would still get 30 days in a month, you would still get 15 videos if you're never skipping 2 days. Because even if you alternate, that would be 15 would be the bare minimum. Because you would, if you alternated a video every other day over 30 days, that's 15 videos. But the reality is once you get in a groove during certain times, you'll probably do a video a few days in a row here, a few days in a row there, but even if you miss one day, you never miss two. So I guess, so now I'm talking through the math right now. That, I believe, is an example of a system, something that kind of accounts for inevitable human error of not keeping up with hey, do this once a day, and then you miss one day, and then you miss a second day, and at that point it's that much harder to get started again. So doing a video once a day, maybe not it can be done, but from a system perspective, that could be tried and true and work anywhere, anytime, is the video a day, okay, but more specifically, do a video a day and never skip 2 days. That will guarantee at least 15 videos of that 18 minutes minimum that we're talking about. We might bring it down to 16 minutes, 25 seconds. I think in my previous videos I haven't discussed why I settled on those numbers. Probably, you could argue it makes sense. I could just lead this whole video project with why I was so attached to these numbers. But I think I'll just keep pushing myself to discuss a variety of topics, and eventually it'll it won't be a big reveal, but eventually I'll just share why I chose these numbers. I think right now it's more about just doing it. Okay, so I'm looking at the timer now. I've discussed this in a previous video. 30 minutes is a time limit on Vimeo Record. I'm at about, it says about 19 minutes right now, so that means I'm about 11 minutes in. I have at minimum 5.5 minutes to go, but more aptly a 7 minutes. 11 plus 7 is 18. 7 minutes to go. So in terms of other topics that are kind of top of mind right now, as I was yapping earlier off camera, there was a discussion that came up that made me think of. The discussion came up about, in a lot of discourse, it can be. It's not always on purpose that someone comes off as if they're lecturing. So I remember I was saying something earlier in the day, and I kind of made a note to myself to preface before I say what I'm going to say. I don't want this to come off as a lecture. To try to, I guess you'd call it a caveat, but try to get people to think more open-minded about whatever I'm going to say. And it made me think back to, in the earlier videos, I didn't come across this topic, but I remember it was a topic that I kind of wanted to get to, but the videos just took different directions. I imagine that's the nature of these unplanned formats, and it's possible that this unplanned format is not gonna bear fruit, but I guess I'm opting for getting repetitions in. When I was younger, doing video consulting, video on camera, presence type of work, and I'm actually not really high energy today, so it's kind of ironic that I don't know if ironic is the right word, but it's I'll just use that word. It's ironic that I've done on-camera presence coaching in the past. I was gonna grasp at a thought there. It's alright. I guess it'll have to come back in a future video. But going back to the lecture point, as strong as personal brands are, at the same time, I wonder if there's a way to. Personal brands are strong. There's that emotional connection with the consumer of the brand and the creator of the brand. But this whole lecture thing I'm kind of stuck on, because personal brands are strong. The creator is often, I think for the most part, is saying, you should do this. Like, I'm lecturing you on to do this. And I wonder if there's a way to do the brand, but basically never be a know-it-all. I don't know if that's possible. I imagine that when you're really educated on a topic, some people are going to really appreciate that, and then some people are going to just think you're a know-it-all. Maybe there's a way to create the feeling of, hey, not a know-it-all, but a know-a-lot. wonder. Wow, I think I might go. Oh, I can see myself going overtime if I dig into this next talking point here. If I take TikTok for example, and where the creator economy really seemed to draw its source from, the there's creators of all ages. I think the stereotype on TikTok, I don't think it's actually true anymore, but the stereotype is that it's all young people. And I was going to draw a parallel here is that I'm still young. I'm older than I used to be. I'm still young. That as I've gotten older, I start to. I think maybe that's why I have this aversion to the know it all aspect of a personal brand. Is as I've gotten older, I realize how much less I know. How much less I know than I thought I knew. And I wonder if there's some sort of comparison or relation between the stereotypical TikTok creator being younger and having that level of ignorance, or I don't know how to pronounce it, the naive nature of that can be like that can come out in a know-it-all way. But if you're building a brand, trying to convince people of your way of thinking, your principles, your things like that, that it makes sense. There's this element of like, I know, and I'm going to teach you what I know, and I'm going to. I can go into I know. I'm going to tell you what to do. So I think I'm actually just about at the 18-minute mark. I'll be curious how I start off the next video here. I mean, it's not going to be on the same day, so it's we'll see how where I decide to start on the next video. But I think it's about getting the reps in, having a systematic way of doing these reps that I didn't have earlier. I was aware of this, like never skip 2 days. I think it comes from where it's a popular way of thinking about working out. Like if you're trying to go to the gym every day, like yeah, it's great, but more importantly, try to go to the gym and never skip 2 days. This way you guarantee you're gonna be at the gym 15 days a month minimum. I think that's the way the math works out. So I'm gonna wrap this video for now. Lower energy in this video. It could also just be like the time of day, not feeling like I want to raise my voice too much. But it's funny because I was yapping earlier. I wonder if I yapped so much that once my energy settled down, maybe it's a little harder to get revved up to talk about it again. But there's also the element of these videos are very much a monologue, and when I was yapping earlier, it was a dialogue, and you are, in my experience, you get energy from other people when you're talking. So so that's that, and we'll see you in the next one.